Hello students, today we will study anomalies and functional dependencies. That is being continued from previous lecture. So we were studying informal design guidelines for relation schemas. So here is guideline number 2. So design the base relation schemas so that no insertion, deletion or modification anomalies are present in the relation. So this is the basic rule that we have to design it so that there would be no anomalies present. If anomalies are present, note them clearly and make sure that the programs that update the database will operate correctly. So these two things should be kept in mind while designing the base relation schemas. Secondly, null values in tuple. So how to deal with null values in tuples? If many of the attributes do not apply to all tuples in the relation, we end up with many nulls in those tuples. This can waste space at the storage level and may also lead to problems with understanding the meaning of attributes and with specifying join operations at the logical level. Another problem with nulls is how to account for them when aggregate operations such as count or sum are applied. So these are the problems with null values in a tuple. So what are the problems with the null? That if there are no attributes, so we will not able to guess what should be there. Then we will get many nulls in those tuples. And then storage level problem, we can waste space if we are not having any value, and while applying join we would face a problem at logical level because there are various null values, so to deal with will be very difficult for us. Another problem is that when we will count or sum, we will apply this operation like count or sum, then what will happen? These null values will be uh, calculated and this will result in error. Then null values in tuples. Moreover, nulls can have multiple interpretations such as the following. The attribute does not apply to this tuple. The attribute value for this tuple is unknown. The value is known but absent, that is it has not been recorded yet. So these can be situations when the attribute does not apply to the tuple. If somewhere has written that if what is your favorite book, if you don't have any favorite book, how would you write its name? Suppose any value for the tuple is unknown. Okay, so the value is unknown in itself, then what will you write? The null value will be written. So third one, the value is known but it is absent, that it has not been recorded yet. It is there but no experiment has been done over it, or nothing we are knowing about that, then it will not be there. But yeah, that field exists. So there are three kinds of things that can be related to null values. For all these three, we will write the simple word null. Having the same representation for all null compromises the different meanings they may have. Therefore, we may state another guideline. So, there is guideline number 3. So, we have seen after guideline we could see anomalies. So, after guideline 2, we are trying to resolve those anomalies for that's why we are dealing with null, and now we are uh, moving towards guideline 3. As far as possible, avoid placing attributes in a base relation whose values may frequently be null. So here, firstly, when we have to deal with null in guideline 3, that will be that we have to avoid writing those attributes in the base relation that values may be null. We have to store only those columns, only those attributes in the base relation that value would not be null in any way. If nulls are unavoidable, make sure that they apply in exceptional cases only and do not apply to a majority of tuples in the relation. So if they are unavoidable, we will have to write them, but it should not be applied to majority of tuples. So instead of employee project, instead of this one, we take this and this, these two as base tables. Then what? This produces a particularly bad schema design. Why? Because we cannot recover the information that was originally in employee project from employee project 1 and employee logs. So because we have combined them in one table, so that it will be difficult for us to maintain all the information, all the true information. To it will be difficult for us to recover those information that was originally stored in these tables. So if we attempt a natural join operation on employee project 1 and employee logs, the result produces many more tuples than the original set of tuples. So this natural join will also not work over it, because it will result in various other tuples that are not needed and that are not original set of tuples also. Additional tuples that were not an employee project are called spurious tuples because they represent spurious or wrong information and that is not valid. So now we have guidelines for dealing with spurious tuples. Design generation relation schemas so that they can be joined with equality conditions on attributes that are either primary keys or foreign keys in a way that guarantees no spurious tuples are generated. So we will have to take care of it that on primary keys or on foreign keys only we can apply equality conditions, so that only those tuples will be in the table that are genuinely original. Avoid relations that contain matching attributes that are not foreign key or primary key combinations, because joining on such attributes may produce spurious tuples. So obviously, if there are some other attributes which are not foreign key or primary key combinations, then they may generate spurious tuples which are not real, but they will be just taking the storage space and not more than that. Anomalies that cause redundant work to be done during insertion into and modification of a relation, and that may cause accidental loss of information during a deletion from a relation. Waste of storage space due to nulls and the difficulty of performing aggregation operation and joins due to the null values. Generation of invalid and spurious data during joins on improperly related base relations. So these kind of things that we have discussed, and for that we have made some guidelines also. So these guidelines, first guideline was for anomalies, second was for storage space for null values, third was for generation of spurious tuples. Now we will study next topic, functional dependency. A functional dependency is a constraint between two sets of attributes in a relation from a database. Given a relation R, a set of attributes X in R is said to functionally determine another attribute Y, also written in R. Written X, this is the sign of functionally dependent on Y. Functional dependency. If and only if X value is associated with precisely one Y value. Customarily, we call X the determinant set and Y the dependent attribute. So here we have employee department table. In this we have e-name, SSN, birth date, address, department number, department name, and this. So firstly, F is functional dependency we are trying to find out. So this is the set where SSN is determining whole of these records. SSN is the primary key, so it basically it is uh, it is related with all of the details of an employee. If we have checked by with the SSN number, the whole employee detail will be opened in front of us. So that's why we can say that this SSN is determining, functionally determining all the other fields of the records. Now, if we talk about D number, this is D number. This is determining department name and DMGRSSN. Then, um, this D number is representing these two things. So we know that in a table of employee only that this much data is related with the SSN number. Left data is related with the department number and whatever be the department ID or which is the primary key for that department table. So some of the additional functional dependencies that we can infer from F are the following. SSN number is determining these two. Then SSN number is determining itself. Then D number is representing or is determining D name. A functional dependency FD exists such that X is functionally determining the Y attribute. This is called trivial if Y is a subset of X. So if Y is subset of X, then this functional dependency will be trivial. For example, employee ID, employee address determines employee address. So we can easily see that this employee address is here also. This is the subset of this. This employee address is the subset of this. So that's why we can say this is the trivial functional dependency. The determination of functional dependency is an important part of designing database in the relational model and in the database normalization and denormalization. The functional dependencies along with the attribute domains are selected so as to generate the constraints that would exclude as much data inappropriate to the user domain from the system as possible. So it will exclude all the as much data inappropriate to the user domain. Functional depending set, functional dependency set S is irreducible if the set has three following properties. So now we will study the properties. Each right set of functional dependency of S contains only one attribute. Each left set of functional dependency of S is irreducible. So these two things are the right side of the functional dependency should be only one attribute. So this side only one attribute. Each left set of functional dependency of S is irreducible that you cannot reduce this as much now. It means that reducing any one attribute from left set will change the content of S as will lose some information. Reducing any functional dependency will change the content of S. Decomposition comes from augmentation property and pseudo-transitivity comes from transitivity. So in union, if X determines Y, X determines Z, then X determines YZ. Decomposition property, if X determines YZ, then opposite of union. X determines Y and X determines Z. Pseudo-transitivity, if X determines Y and WY determines Z, then X and W determines Z.